You're listening to the worst podcast in the universe. Call or text us now to 706-237-8230. This is the Landon and Dillan Show.
What up, Dillan?
Living the dream, buddy. Living the dream.
Oh, God. I love that little intro. We're going to have to get rid of it soon.
Yeah.
Well, we'll put it on the back burner.
Put it on hiatus. Yeah, put it on hiatus.
How you been, man?
Listen, man, I give that fella so much credit. We talk about it every week, but like these are really good music beds that we were given.
Oh yeah,
and
cheap.
You know, yeah, and cheap. Brought to you courtesy over the friends over at Fiverr.
Yeah, check them out. If somebody wants that specific dude, you can message me. I'll send you his name. It's some weird name, so I can't even I couldn't even be able to pronounce it on here.
Yeah.
What's up, John Ray?
Well,
we got John Ray in the chat.
Yes,
YouTube.
that is one of the fellows that will be coming with us during the brand split.
Perfect.
So my good buddy John Ray. I guess, Landon, let's get right into the fucking topics. All right.
You're trying to piss me off early.
I'm trying to piss you off early, buddy. Let's do this. Taco Bell.
Yes.
The last time we talked about Taco Bell, they cut a bunch of menu items.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Which didn't really upset me. Some of the ones on there didn't upset me at all.
You were like, yeah, you know what? It's not great. There's some of this stuff's good stuff, but it's not bad.
Yeah, whatever.
Taco Bell removes Mexican pizza as well as other items. It finishes menu streamlining. So to give you an idea of what these items are, Mexican pizza, which I know, Landon, of all of the things on this list, that one hurts.
Yeah, that one pisses me off like really bad. That's like my favorite thing that Here's the thing. Taco Bell used to sell Choco Tacos as a dessert. And you ever had a Choco Taco?
No, I don't know.
It's like a waffle cone, looks like a hard shell taco with ice cream in the middle, and then it's covered in chocolate and like peanuts and stuff. So they used to sell those as like a dessert that you could buy. They got rid of that crap. So I ain't been this pissed about Taco Bell's menu change since the Choco Taco.
They're also getting rid of Pico de Gallo, which I have no idea what
Pico de Gallo.
Whatever.
All it is like onions, tomatoes, cilantro, and it's just chopped up, thin and mixed together.
Yeah, to my understanding, this is going to be replaced with just diced tomatoes.
Right.
They are also getting rid of any shredded chicken items. This includes the shredded chicken soft taco, shredded chicken burrito, and my choice from Taco Bell, the chicken quesadilla. Taco Bell will be adding, however, a tropical slushy titled Dragon Fruit Freeze, and they will be pushing a sandwich titled the Chipotle Melt.
Here's what pisses me off about those so the drink thing, they changed that out like 3 or 4 times a year. So that's pretty common. Right now they have like this pineapple whip one, which is absolutely delicious that they came out with for summer. But see, there's like this like cream additive that they add into the drink to give it the whip flavor or whatever. Well, 2 months into selling the stupid drink, they stopped making it and ran out of the whip part. So it was like that kind of took away from the whole thing. Like, why are you going to roll out with something and then only have enough to make drinks for a month with it? So whatever. I'll try the dragon fruit one. Actually, I just tried. They have the Baja Blast freeze thing, and it's actually really good. I hadn't tried those freezes till recently, but they're pretty good.
See, my Taco Bell has those types of freezes year round. So you can get a slushy Coke or like a cherry or blueberry, but Baja Blast is always there too.
Yeah.
We
have Ray in the chat here saying that she misses Choco Tacos, and John Ray saying he misses Doritos Locos Tacos.
That was the discussion you brought up the last time we were talking about this. You said, well, do you remember the Doritos Locos Taco? Yeah. And I said, yeah, don't they still have it? And I guess they used to have like 4. Now they only have 1.
Yeah, so they only have the nacho cheese one now. But the big one that everybody got really excited about was the Cool Ranch Doritos Taco, whatever. And that one went a long time ago. Apparently,
I know that I think, and maybe I'm wrong, John. You can correct me on this, and that's Tyler Ray there in the chat. I believe that they also had his favorite was the purple bag Doritos, those spicy
the
ones.
Fiery.
I didn't know they had that as a thing.
Well,
they
didn't have the purple one because the purple one's like a sweet chili flavor, sweet spicy chili or something. But he put in the chat here the fiery one, which would have been the red shell.
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah, I didn't know that. But just the other day, more Taco Bell developments, which, by the way, if you do enjoy the shredded chicken menus and the Mexican pizza, you have until approximately November 5th to still get your fix.
Which probably means October 1st because they don't know how to manage their inventory. But
figure out a way to harness that and just start injecting it right into your veins. But just the other day, Landon, I sent you another headline, and this comes courtesy of the great folks over at Barstool Sports. Taco Bell is releasing its first ever signature wine. And it's called so it has the Taco Bell branding on it, and the wine that's pictured is called Jalapeno Noir.
Right. I don't know if you know this, but like probably about a year, maybe a year and a half ago now, Taco Bell started rolling out with restaurant designs that had bars in them. They could serve beer and margaritas and stuff like that. I know there's one in Vegas that you can go in and get that kind of stuff. But apparently they were doing that throughout the country. They were going to open them up in some more major markets. But I've never seen one in person. So it sounds to me like the only way you're going to be able to get that wine is if you go to one of those restaurants.
Go to one of those.
Because it's not like you can just buy that. I mean, I guess, well, they have like wine.com where you can ship it. Yeah. Maybe they do that. Did it say? I didn't really go into that.
I don't have the details on it further than that's what the product's called and that they're releasing a signature wine. I mean, good on them, but the question still remains, all the weird Taco Bell shit we've talked about over the last 10 episodes. We've talked about they're adding bone-in wings. They're taking away, at this point, like 20-something menu items. And then now they're adding a signature wine. Are we seeing a Taco Bell rebranding of sorts, Landon?
Well, I think that goes back to when they rolled out those different restaurant designs. Maybe that was their intention the whole way, is redesigning the entire thing. Make it, I don't know. I just don't see them going to like, because they're trying to, what it seems like is they're trying to go like more fancy with their stuff.
Yeah, it's a fine dining. I don't see how Taco Bell can be considered fine dining. Yeah. That's like back in the day when McDonald's tried to this is in like the 90s, when McDonald's had a bunch of ads about how like we're a regular restaurant, you can go in and sit down because everybody just goes through the drive-through anyway.
Right.
And they wanted people like in the store, they I guess they figured you would buy more shit or something. But like, yeah, why? What's this push all of a sudden for Taco Bell to be fine dining?
Well, I don't. Taco Bell's always been a little edgy with some of the stuff they do. We got Ray here in the chat says that she bets they'll sell the wine in stores like they sell their hot sauce in like Walmart and stuff. Maybe that is the case. I didn't even think of that. They sell their seasonings in the store now for like when you make taco meat or whatever. So yeah, good call there, John and Ray. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with the wine. Honestly, I want to get a bottle of it. Hey, here's another thing that just came out that was big news in the fast food industry. McDonald's has released spicy chicken nuggets. Ooh. Have you noticed that?
I know. This is my first time hearing about it.
Yeah, so it came out. It just started rolling out within the last week. Stores are slowly starting to get it. So they have now spicy nuggets with a spicy nugget sauce.
See, I thought you were going to go the Cactus Jack meal route, the Travis Scott.
What a
I
joke.
thought listen though, that has people up in arms and pissed. That has workers at these restaurants just at wit's end. I don't know if you've seen the videos. There are some really funny videos of kids rolling up, like blaring Travis Scott saying, "You already know what I want." And the fast food workers are getting pissed.
Well, it's kind of stupid. I think McDonald's has only ever tied themselves to a celebrity one other time that I can remember, and this was in the early 90s when they did something with Michael Jordan. I don't know why they chose Travis Scott to do something with. It seems to me like maybe they just need to dump a bunch of Xanax bars on a hamburger and call it the Travis Scott meal. I don't know.
I think they wanted the younger demographic to be talking about McDonald's. When you think of McDonald's, you think of.
But what they rolled out with is stupid, dude. It's like apparently just their normal hamburger, and all they did was like add lettuce to it. I mean,
so from my understanding of the order, and I have not had it, it is a quarter pounder with added bacon and lettuce, a side of fries with added barbecue, and a medium-sized Sprite. And I guess that must be just his order when he goes to McDonald's.
So they added bacon and lettuce to a quarter pounder and called that the Travis Scott meal.
Yeah.
Wow.
And don't forget the barbecue with the fries. Everyone forgets the barbecue with the fries.
I mean, you can't forget that. Whatever damn sauce you want anyway. That's nothing special.
But I guess it's like this whole thing is that it's a $6 meal, which I don't know if that's expensive or cheap. Like I don't go to these fucking. I know I'm a big fat man, but I don't go to these places every fucking day. Like I have no idea what the regular order would cost at McDonald's because I just get chicken nuggets if I go. I'm a big child.
Right. Well, I don't know. I'm definitely gonna So Ray says, let's see. It's almost the exact same order that was the Michael Jordan. So apparently that was very similar to the Michael Jordan order. I don't remember what it was, but I do remember they had they did a partnership with Michael
tie-in
Jordan.
with Michael Jordan. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm definitely gonna try these spicy nuggets. It's kind of funny if you go on and you look up, you'll see there's Twitter battles between Wendy's and McDonald's. You know how they troll each other all the time?
Yeah.
And even Burger King jumped in where they're like, "Oh, McDonald's is last on the train for spicy nuggets." So I don't know.
Is this gonna be like when Popeye's chicken came out with the chicken sandwich and people started beating the fuck out of each other in the parking lots?
It doesn't
I
seem
hope
like
it's a brawl.
It doesn't seem like it because I know the one in my town has the nuggets released already.
And there's no shortage of the nuggets.
Not that I'm aware of, and their lines. I mean, their lines are typically busy all the time anyway. So it's not like it's something that's going crazy that I can see.
That was the thing with the Popeye's chicken, is that they released the Popeye's chicken sandwich. Everybody wanted to try it, and you had people who had tried it who said it's the best chicken sandwich. Other people said it's okay, but they would run out of chicken sandwiches. And this would cause turmoil, and people would be beating the fuck out of each other in parking lots. Yeah. There was a video of a lady getting this. I guess this lady got charged twice for her meal at Popeyes. And she's screaming at the lady behind the counter, and the lady behind the counter says, "I'll fuck you up." The old white lady goes to walk out the door. The lady behind the counter follows her out, picks her up, and body slams her on the pavement. And they all just go back inside. It's a great fucking video.
So here recently, I have a buddy that works with me, and we've been wanting to try this food challenge, this massive pizza that's closer to Atlanta. And we've kind of came up with this idea that we're going to start a YouTube channel just for food challenges and, food reviews and stuff. So I think I am going to go and get the stupid chicken nuggets that they got there and try them out. And, who knows, maybe I'll film that tonight. And
are you
I don't think it's going to be spicy though, dude. I think it's going to be a joke.
Do you think it's going to be like the spicy chicken sandwich they used to have?
I don't know. I never ate that. I really don't eat McDonald's. I did prior to when I was in the military. I ate it a lot, but since 2008, I have not. The only thing I ever go there to get is cheap Cokes and an ice cream cone, and that's usually about all I get there. So
see, I used to like the they used to have different teas. It wasn't just the one sweet tea.
Right.
You used to be able to get peach and strawberry. I used to love the peach tea. Because it's still $1. It was still all $1, but they don't have that anymore. It was a limited time thing. They had it for a year and then they quit having it. I was pissed. Yeah. That's the only reason to go to McDonald's, is that it's cheap drinks.
Dude, the drinks are a great deal. I go all the time for the drinks.
But for the food, nobody's going for the fucking food. I feel like with a spicy chicken nugget, I feel like it's not going to be hot. Now, maybe that's why they have the sauce, though. Maybe if you want to kick it up a notch, you have to get that sauce.
Yeah, that's what Ray just put in the chat. The nuggets aren't that spicy, but the sauces. So I heard that the sauce is super vinegar forward sauce, so it's very a typical table hot sauce that you would have. I don't know. I mean, I'll try it, whatever, but I'm not that impressed. It's one of those things here's also a big trend that's happening throughout different fast food restaurants and fast casual and stuff. Popeyes just released Carolina Reaper wings, right? Buffalo Wild Wings just changed their blazing sauce to a Carolina Reaper sauce. So it's one of those things we're starting to see these restaurants really push the limit on the spice level. I know that I definitely want to go back to Buffalo Wild Wings and try that challenge since they replaced the blazing wings. I did that, man, in probably 2006. I did the Blazing Buffalo Challenge. I used to have a t-shirt and stuff. Of course, I'm way fatter now, so it don't fit. But it's 12 wings in 10 minutes or something that you have to do. And I did it in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So I just pounded them. And it was super hot back then. So I'm curious as to what the spice level's at now with these Reaper wings.
Yeah, that's one of those interesting things. So like food challenges have always interest me. Not that I would do them, because for those of you who do know me and how I am, for being a big fat man, I don't eat much at all. Um, Food challenges have interested me because I am of the generation of Man versus Food. Do
Mhm.
you remember that
Oh yeah,
program?
I watched every episode.
Yeah, like everyone liked that fucking show. I guess what's funny to me is I don't understand how people can put themselves through that kind of fucking misery just to say, "Oh, I got a T-shirt and maybe a free meal." Like to me, fuck that,
That,
fuck that.
sometimes that's all it's about, man. It's just to
Sometimes
challenge
that's all it's
yourself.
about. I want a T-shirt.
You want a T-shirt and want to put your picture on the wall. I mean,
They don't
dude,
listen.
it
They don't want
draws
a T-shirt
people.
big enough for me.
Hey, it draws people from all over if you have a food challenge. I've been telling so many different restaurants, hey, it's free advertising because
That's
especially
true.
now with YouTube, with how big YouTube is, which thanks to everybody in the chat, I'm only seeing YouTube chats. So I don't know if you guys are the only ones commenting, but thanks to y'all for jumping in there. But I don't know if it's because, but like with YouTube, you're kind of a fool not to have one because all these people try to do these challenges and it's free advertising on the internet. And the thing about advertising on YouTube videos is once they say your name in the video, guess what? It's there forever. It's not like a 30-second TV commercial where it goes up for 30 seconds and you never see it again. That video is going to stay on their channel forever. They're
And
not
you
going to
also don't have
delete
to
it.
pay for it. You don't have to pay for it, and you never know. With
That's
the
the
internet
future
and
of
how it is,
marketing, man.
with the internet and how it is, there are people who make videos, their first video, and it just blows up by accident.
Mm-hmm.
And then these people get fame overnight. Like that's the whole big thing with TikTok. Like, and I know TikTok's one of those really taboo things to talk about, and there's supposed to be a ban coming out on the 15th.
Oh, today?
Or yesterday was the 15th, so it must have been bought out because I believe it's still up and running. But like, basically, there was this whole argument where it's owned by a Chinese company, and they said if an American company doesn't buy it by this date, it's banned. An American company must have bought. As a matter of fact, I believe Oracle bought it. They beat out Microsoft to buy it. So now TikTok's fine. But what was happening is people would post their first TikTok, and they would get millions of views. These people would become famous overnight, and not just hot people. There's a lot of beautiful people on TikTok, but let me tell you, I've seen some people that are uglier than me and Landon combined, and I know that might be a stretch, everybody, but these people are famous. Like everybody's famous off TikTok.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know anything about TikTok, so I'm probably the worst person to even talk about it. But I do know a chick who actually lives up near you who just joined TikTok like a week ago, dude. And off her first video, she got like 10,000 followers.
Yeah.
I mean, it was insane.
Yeah,
So,
it's
I don't know,
really
man.
crazy, and their whole thing with like you can make money relatively earlier than most sites. Like with YouTube, there's a lot of bells and hoops to run through to make even a little bit of money.
Right.
But like with TikTok, man, there's people making a little bit of money at like very low points. So I don't know if that's something that can be self-sustained. I mean, it has up until this point. I think that when the show splits, we'll talk about more of these kind of tech things. I know that I've talked with my fellas, including Mr. Tyler Ray, who these guys really want to talk a lot of tech stuff, and so I know that one of those things that they're going to be talking about on a lot of sides is there's going to be a lot of production type equipment talk, but there's also going to be a lot of gaming talk, and I'm just so excited for us to lose the demographic and start over, Landon.
What are you saying that we have shitty listeners?
No, I'm saying we have listeners who watch the show who have no idea what we're talking about half the fucking time.
Yes, I get messages all the time. I don't know why I watch it because I have
Yeah, I
no
don't
clue
know
what the
why
hell
I'm
you're talking
watching
about.
this shit. So now I'm saying it's going to be even worse because you're gonna have people on air who don't know what the other people are talking about. And you guys know when it comes to tech stuff, like when we were talking the other day, and they were like, "So what kind of stuff do you want us to bring?" I was like, "Bring whatever you want." Okay, here, I'll set it up because you and I haven't talked about this.
Mhm.
So this is a great on-air discussion to have.
Yeah.
So I told the guys,
Here we go. We haven't talked again. Once again, people, we don't talk.
Yeah, we don't talk off air. We don't talk off air much. Every once in a while, I'll send them a message. Hey, this is happening. So I talked to the boys. We were all in an Xbox party, and obviously we know what the title of the show is going to be.
Mhm.
We're not quite putting that out there yet,
Right.
but we know what it's going to be. So I told the guys, we'll talk whatever you want to talk about. And they said, well, because of the name, it would make sense to do kind of a tech segment. I said, sure. So they all started saying, well, I'm interested in this kind of tech and I'm interested in this kind of tech. So we have all sorts of different people who are going to be bringing different tech stuff. We have people who are trying to find common ground with you, Landon, because I've been letting them know the kind of things that you're interested in, your Elon Musk stories. And I said, I'll do the weird news stories and the slums of the world news stories. And it'll be well-rounded because from start to finish, we'll have at least something to talk about. And everybody's
Right.
really interested and everybody's bringing great bits. So we're really excited for the launch of this show. The reason that I bring this up is because I'm going to bring something up that's tech that Landon isn't interested in and nobody who's watching this is interested in. But this is something that's interesting just because it's one of those console wars. As you guys may know, for those of you who are gamers, the new Xbox and PlayStations are releasing here in the next month. The PlayStation 5 is in short supply,
Meaning they didn't make a lot of them?
meaning they didn't make a lot of them. So
I
PlayStation
say it's
users,
bullshit.
Sony users, fans of Sony and the PlayStation had known ahead of time, hey, it's going to be pretty difficult to get your hands on the PlayStation 5. What they didn't know is how difficult it might be. Apparently, production has slowed down to a halt, and they don't know if they have enough, supply for the demand. On the other hand, you have the folks over at Microsoft who make the Xbox. They're releasing 2 separate consoles, all sorts of bundles, and they're ready to meet this stuff. And it's also cheaper.
Well, see, isn't now again? I'm not the gamer, so I don't know this, but from what I understand, isn't Sony always like outselling Xbox as far as consoles, right?
As far as consoles, that's normally the trend, yes.
Okay. Now, do you think that this is just a marketing ploy on Sony to say, hey, let's make it seem like we don't have a lot, so everybody buys them up really, really fast, and we go through what we got? Because to me, that's what that sounds like. There's no reason Sony does not have enough product to sell. There's no, I don't know, unless like Corona screwed something up, some component or something.
Yeah. Well, and that's what the issue is that it's a component. And once again, this is like deeper tech stuff than even my fucking pay grade. This is why it's going to be great to have other people on the show.
Right.
I guess there's some type of chip, from what I was reading, there's some type of chip or component in the PlayStation 5 that like a bunch of them corrupted and they had to redo all of them. So there really isn't enough supply for the demand, and we're a month away from launch. So you have, once again, people have those different avenues. There are people that have been PlayStation people for life, people that have been Xbox people for life, and there are some people that have flip-flopped and switched and whatever. And both consoles have their different types of pros. Like if you're a Sony player, if you play PlayStation, the biggest pro for you is that the single-player games are out of this world, and that there's a lot of multiplayer games like the Call of Duties where you have a lot of exclusives that you can't get on the other console, being Xbox. The thing with the Xbox is that with the new Xbox coming out, first off, it's cheaper. Secondly, the specs are insane, which once again, I'm using words that are too techie for me.
Right.
This would be right up his alley. But yeah, it seems to me like Xbox is going to win this war just because it's cheaper and they have different payment options and 2 different consoles releasing.
Well, they've got to do something to step their game up and try to beat Sony. We have Ray in the chat, so I don't know. I probably shouldn't even say this story, but she put it out there, so I'm going to. She got pissed off at her boyfriend or whatever one day and put his PlayStation through the dishwasher. so she put in the chat. She goes, "I wonder if the newest PlayStation will handle a dishwasher."
That's fantastic. Oh God.
Oh my God. Maybe that's what they need. They need to make them waterproof for these crazy
That's
women
what
who just destroy
waterproof
shit.
consoles.
Oh my God.
That's fucking hysterical.
Now going back to this, because I'm not a gamer. I play every now and then. I really only like one game currently, which is Borderlands 2. I don't even like the third one. I think they screwed it up big time.
Everyone does. Everyone agrees with you.
I absolutely hate the third one. Actually, you know what's so funny? When it released, I paid $100 for the one game, and it came with like, you know, all the packs,
all the expansions.
Yeah. So I bought myself one, and I bought my best friend one who plays with me all the time. So I just bought that for him as a gift. And dude, I went to the store, to GameStop, like a few days ago, and there was one on the shelf for $20.
Yep.
That's how bad it is. And guess what? Borderlands 2, which is what I was there to look for because he lost his, so we've been trying to find him one, was the exact same price as 3.
Yep.
But everybody loves 2.
3 was a failure. I'll let you get to your thought, and then we can kind of backtrack around to this discussion, because I have a lot to say about this. Go ahead.
I don't know. I mean, I played Xbox earlier on because all my friends did, but I mean, I don't really care. It's about the games to me, not really the console. It doesn't even. They're all the same, you know. As long as it has the games that I like. I like Grand Theft Auto. I like Borderlands. I somewhat liked Halo back when that was a thing. I don't know why that's not still happening, or maybe
it's still a thing. I don't know. Which is more on. We'll get into that in a sec. That's like Halo is still a thing. Yeah.
So that's what I played on the Xbox a lot, was Halo.
Yeah,
but that's it.
I just had to laugh. I'm telling you, with us doing this new show, Landon, if you do decide that at some point you're going to get a new, because I know you don't play a lot, but when you do, it's cool to have friends.
Right.
Like, the whole group is on Xbox. Just saying, everybody doing this next show is on the Xbox.
Well, nobody wants me on their team because
yes, we do.
I have triple the deaths to kills.
Listen, you can't be worse than me. John Ray right now is, I beat him to it. He's right now about to type a book. If we're willing to have Dillan on our team, we're willing to have you. These are people that are insanely good at every game they play. Right. I mean, like, listen, it's not uncommon for John to drop 60 kills in any game. It doesn't matter what the game is.
I just got tired of having like 7-year-old kids whooping my ass and then calling me a bitch on there, and that just pissed me off so bad.
That's why we have party chat, so I don't have to hear the 7-year-old kids.
Oh, well, I like that idea then. Yeah.
You got. I'm telling you, we're gonna convert you to the Xbox with this new generation of console. We're gonna all be playing. But so, to backtrack to the Borderlands thing, and then we'll get into the Halo thing. By the way, guys, this is like a small little peek into what the future shows will bring. A bunch of nerdy, fat, balding men doing this fucking show. I'm not balding though. I still have good hair. Sorry, Landon. So Borderlands was terrible. And me and John just had this discussion the other day. Why Borderlands was Borderlands 3. Borderlands 1 and 2, fantastic. Even the Telltale series, they did like the Borderlands Tales from whatever the fuck. That was good. It was different, but it was still good. Borderlands 3 was great at launch. Everyone loved it at launch. We all played it at launch. It was a great game. What happened was with Borderlands, so you have 4 characters to choose from, basically who you're going to play the entire game as, and all the side missions. Everything you do is going to be this character. Mm-hmm. Okay. What happened was within these characters, part of the progression was there was a skill tree. And there were considered meta skill trees, meaning these were the skill trees where you could get the most damage per second. You could kill the biggest enemies in the smallest amount of time. What the developers of Borderlands 3 said was, well, that's unfair to people that are starting out the game, even though the game isn't a player v player. It's not like it puts anyone at a disadvantage. It's PvE through and through. You can play it with your friends. Right. They said, well, it's not fair. Everyone's OP, overpowered. You guys are going to learn this lingo. And then they patched it. They patched certain skill trees. So then we said, oh, fuck, okay, we'll just do the next skill tree. Oh, well, then they patched that skill tree. And then we were like, well, fuck, we're just going to move to this character. Move to that character, level them up the whole way, max out a skill tree. Oh, they patched that skill tree. Yep. Around 5 patches of skill trees, I said, you know what? Fuck this. And nobody's played the game since. Nobody has played that fucking game since the first 3 months it came out.
Well, see, I even had a problem with it when it first came out. And here was my issue. It seemed to be very, very slow. Like it was not optimized for the system or something. I don't know. And then like when you would click the menu, it would always take like 6 seconds to bring up the menu before you could even scroll over to the next page. It took another 3 seconds. And they changed like how the menus look, and they're like so much smaller, so it's hard as hell to read, and I'm blind as it is.
Yeah, we're all old and blind.
Yeah, dude, I mean, literally from the get-go, I hated it. But, I mean, I played it all the way through and, you know, got to where you could change, you know, whatever, get the ultimate Vault Hunter bullshit. And
Yeah.
I just don't like it, man. I don't.
Borderlands is one of those games too where like the demographic of people that play this game aren't kids. Like it is a cartoony looking game, but adults play this game. I've never met a kid on Borderlands. For as much as Fortnite and other games that are adult based have flourished with children, Borderlands is not one of those games. The only people playing it are fucking old people.
Right.
And like they said, well, fuck you guys. Like, I guess it's because we were smart enough to figure out, well, fuck, I can do the most damage with this character and I like it. Like, I don't know what character you played as. You probably played as Flack, which is the Beast Tamer, because that's what everybody fucking played as.
When I first played, I did, but right now I'm as the commando guy with the drone.
Oh, see, because that's what they wanted.
Turrets. Sorry.
Yeah, well, that was the reason for a lot of the patches, though, is because what they noticed is that all the players were only playing as 2 different characters. You were either playing as Flack or you were playing as the Siren, and they wanted you to play as all 4 of them. They wanted you to have these 4 other people because no one was playing as Commando and no one was playing as the lady with the mecha suit.
Mm-hmm.
So they started making them better, and they just nuked the other 2. And then people started playing as them. We finally gave in, and then they nuked everybody. It was like, fuck, this game's dumb as fuck. Nobody wants to play it anymore, and nobody does. They still release DLCs and expansions, but nobody's hopping on that game. It's dead.
Dude, at the end of the day, they should have just put all that money into expanding 2 and releasing more DLCs for that rather than doing this 3. Because I would love to look at the numbers for what they did as far as sales and how many people are still playing 2 versus 3. Because I guarantee you there's a lot more people playing 2.
More people are playing 2. Yeah, 100% I agree.
And maybe they'll realize that. So the next one, they're either going to bring it back to how 2 was designed and played, or they're going to keep adding on. See, they added on a DLC for 2 that is like the merger between 2 and 3. And I'm about ready to buy it at this point because I was playing it all over again with my brother. He's never played it, so we're up to like level 68. I think you can max out at 72 unless you buy the expansion thing. So we're about that point where we're going to do that. Yeah. But dude, they just need to keep coming out with DLCs and changing it up that way.
And that's an issue with a lot of games is that they don't like once the game's released, there's never an expansion. Like Red Dead Redemption 2's like that.
Yeah.
Where they're really trying to push this online as being just as good as GTA, but the updates for GTA are coming out at a rapid rate, and there's very little updates for Red Dead Redemption 2. Right. But the single player for Red Dead Redemption 2, everybody loved. I don't think you could find a person that said that story sucked. Because it was great.
No, it was good. It was, but once I played it through, I was done.
Yeah,
like
once you played it through, you're done. I mean,
yeah, that was another game I did actually play, and I enjoyed it while it happened. But like, it's not like Borderlands. When you beat it, you want to go back and do other things,
do other stuff.
You're done. You just put it away, and that's it. I don't want to play it again.
And so this is leading into the Halo discussion. So it's an interesting thing that you would bring up Halo. Because Halo was supposed to launch with the new Xbox, which launches next month. Now,
like a new one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The game was showed during one of the Xbox expos where they show all the new games. I don't know if that was like E3 or what.
Right.
People complained. Viciously so. Like we all knew it was early alpha, meaning it was like still early on in the game's development. It looked like the graphics were worse than the original Halo, which on a console that can handle PC games, why is that happening? No one can understand.
Right.
And the mechanics looked broken as fuck already. So the fans started complaining. A week later, the folks who make make Halo, the folks over at 343 and Microsoft Studios said, guys, we're going to push this game back till 2021. Mind you, this was a game that was supposed to launch with the console. A lot of people, it turned them off on the console, saying, well, that's what I wanted, why I wanted to buy the console.
Right.
So now I'm just going to wait to buy the console until February or whatever when Halo comes out. Halo has been the title for Xbox that's keeping it alive and afloat. I mean, when you look at PlayStation,
it was huge back in the day when I was playing it.
Exactly. When you look at PlayStation, they have so many single player games that keep that system afloat. Xbox doesn't have that, but we used to have really good exclusive titles. And as the years went by, those exclusive titles have gotten worse and worse. Like there were 2 exclusives to Xbox that were god tier. You had Gears of War and you had Halo.
Mm-hmm.
As times went on, these series have gotten shittier. It's shittier now than it was when I was young. Specifically more so with Gears of War. Gears of War turned to ass, and I will debate anybody about that. That's the issue, though. Now, more on that. So I know what you're probably thinking, Landon. Well, why would anyone buy an Xbox? Then I could just wait. Well, there's a payment plan that you can make with the Xbox. So there's 2 ways of buying the Xbox. You can either pay for it in full, or they will put you on a monthly 6-month payment plan. Mind you, there's 2 different consoles that are launching. There's a non-disc tray, the Xbox Series S, which is launching. It has lower specs, meaning basically the graphics aren't as good, it doesn't run as fast, and it doesn't have a disc tray. It's about $100 cheaper, $200 cheaper than the Xbox Series X, which is releasing, which has a disc tray and runs 120 frames per second. It can run PC grade games on a console.
So essentially, they want you to download the games if there's no disc tray. Right.
That would be your only option if you go the S route.
All right.
Which that's what most people do anyway. I found most people have gone completely digital. I know I have. The reason that you would want a disc tray, in my humble opinion, is for watching movies, in 4K.
Yeah, because they're like a Blu-ray player in them, right?
They're a Blu-ray player, yeah. So that's kind of the incentive for a disc at this point, because most people only download their games digitally or have digital codes for games.
Right, and if you wanted to share like a game with my buddy plays his games, if I wanted to share a game and he just give it to me and let me play for a couple weeks, I couldn't do that if I didn't have a disc tray.
Yeah. Well, you can though, because there is with Xbox, and I don't know enough about PlayStation to be able to tell you if this is a thing. With Xbox, there is a system called a license transfer. Basically, you take your friend, someone who you trust very much, you give them your account information, and they can make your profile their home Xbox, giving them the ability to play all of the games that you've downloaded digitally. You can play them as well too.
Wow. Okay.
That's the system that Xbox has. It's called the license transfer. So that is a thing, and those are digital games that you can play. As far as the difference between the 2 consoles, obviously one is superior, but it's also $100 or $200 more.
How much are we talking for these consoles?
How much are we talking?
Yeah, well, I mean, you're talking about a 6-month payment plan, and what I'm thinking is like those consoles typically are like $400. So why do you need 6 months to pay off $400? Are we talking they bumped these suckers up to $1,000 a piece?
No. So actually, Xbox did something pretty cool.
Okay.
So Xbox's cheaper console is $300.
Okay.
Their more expensive console is $500.
$499. Yeah.
So basically, the reason that there's this payment plan with the cheaper Xbox, the payment plan is $20 a month. With the more expensive one, it's $30 a month.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
Having said that, at the end of the deadline, and this is why people who are buying it outright are pissed. So if you do the payment plan, Xbox has within it something called the Game Pass. Basically, it's free games that you don't have to purchase. You can just play them. But you do have to pay for the service of Game Pass. basically, if you do the monthly payments, you get Ultimate Game Pass for free. Basically, Ultimate Game Pass gives you Xbox Live, which is how you play online, plus Game Pass. You get that for free just for making the payment. Normally, Ultimate Game Pass costs $15 a month. All in all, at the end of your payment plan, you save like $20 on the Xbox.
Wow.
So the reason that people who are buying it all out are pissed is because we're sitting here thinking, well, fuck, I don't save $20. I don't get free Ultimate Game Pass. I might as well just do the payment plan instead of paying all my money at once. I don't know if it's that they want everybody to hop on the payment plan or if it's just they really didn't think that through, but they haven't released any information on what the incentive is to just buy it all out.
Yeah. It's still kind of early, so maybe they change that before then.
Yeah, I would say that they probably do. I would say that if you buy it outright, you probably get a free year. Right. You probably get a free year. At least that's what I would do. But once again, we're still a month out from release. A lot of things could change between now and then. But
yeah, I know that it used to be like PlayStation, you didn't have to pay to play online. I think that was with the 3, and now I guess we're on the 4. The 4, I had to pay. It's like $60 a year or whatever. Yeah. They also have that game library thing that you were talking about there with Xbox, where you can play like a bunch of different games. You just have access to it, but that's like $60 a year too, and you can play all these different games on this library for free for the whole year, basically after you pay your $60.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool for somebody like me who doesn't know what I really like and what I want to play. I could get on there and just mess around and figure out, I don't like this. Let me move on.
Yeah. And so these were all things that Xbox did first. Like Xbox had the monthly payment just for online. At the time it was called Gold. They're doing away with the Gold system. Now you have to be on the Game Pass and it's just Gold's thrown in there. Right. That used to be their thing. And yeah, PlayStation, the incentive to play PlayStation when we were younger, like you said, the PlayStation 3 was you didn't have to pay to play online.
Right. That's why I bought that one. Play.
Yeah. But now that you have to pay for both, I think the Xbox is the better choice simply because of what the specs are for the Xbox Series X compared to the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
One just runs dominantly to the other ones. As far as the games go, listen, there's a lot of games over on PlayStation as an Xbox player I'm jealous of. First off, as someone who loves single player storylines, I love a lot of the shit that they do over there with Sony and the PlayStation. Having said that, also being a baseball fan, I wish MLB The Show would be over on Xbox, and unfortunately it's not.
Well, I know that they were talking pretty heavily about cross-platform play. So I don't know if that's a thing that they're trying to do with this.
There's certain games that are still considered exclusive. So even if it's cross-platform would in that format would just be generationally, meaning if I'm someone who has MLB The Show on the PlayStation 3 or the PlayStation 4 rather is the most recent. If I'm someone who has that on the PlayStation 4, I can play with my friends on PlayStation 5. But because Sony and PlayStation have exclusivity to the MLB product, you can't get that over on Xbox. But there are certain games like Call of Duty, for example, where, PlayStation players, Xbox players, and PC players can all play it together.
Okay,
which really opens up the doors to play more games with friends.
Right.
Because there's a lot of people who play Call of Duty, who play games like Fortnite, these cross-platform games where for a long time we were sitting there saying, well, fuck, I wish I could play with this guy, but he has a PlayStation and I have an Xbox. Now you can. There's still certain games that's not going to be a thing for. There's a lot of them that it is a thing. And then there's obviously the title exclusivity, which is a whole other demon to battle. But
yeah, it's interesting. I love these console wars because at the end of the day, if they keep battling it out, it's just gonna end up being in favor of the player. At the end of the day, I think. Who knows? I would love to see them work together to where for almost every game you could really just choose what platform you want, and the game doesn't matter. You can play with anybody. Because I know there was a time back in the day where half my friends had Xbox, half my friends had PlayStation. So guess what I had to do? I had to buy both of them.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
And
Because
that's
then it'll really come down to the specs of the console. Who can
Yeah.
produce a better console?
Yeah.
And it not necessarily be about the game.
Yeah. And so right now Xbox has that one. Xbox has the specs war one. The other thing with the console wars is like Xbox, the folks over at Microsoft have extended the olive branch to different companies. They've done different crossovers with the folks over at Nintendo, which did obviously the old school GameCube, the Wii, the Nintendo 64. All throughout the 90s, they were the big ticket, you know, and then Xbox and PlayStation just kind of emerged over that. They've done crossovers, not to the point where like I can't play Mario Kart on my Xbox, but there are certain titles that integrate different Nintendo properties into the Xbox realm, which that's neat. Xbox tried to extend the olive branch to Sony, and Sony declined.
Well, Sony's at the advantage. They sell more than Xbox, so
Yeah.
you know, in their eyes, they're like, why? You know,
We don't need you, yeah.
We don't need you. We're already beating you. You know, so who knows? I don't know. It's interesting.
It'd be cool. It'd be cool to be able to be on Xbox and play a lot of Sony games. And I know the folks over at Sony would probably love to play titles that are exclusive to Xbox, like the Gears of War, like Halo.
Yeah.
But there again, if you look at the games, Sony wins. I mean, that's where, like, as an Xbox person, once again, I envy that because I would love to play games like The Last of Us, Days Gone. I know a lot of folks love the God of War franchise. Xbox doesn't have those kinds of titles. Not only do they not have those titles, we don't have anything that like competes with those titles. When it comes to single player games, Xbox does not have that down.
Right.
They're all about big multiplayer. And like Halo's a story, Gears of War is a story, but there's also that online aspect of it. You know, Sony, there are games that are just single player that have fantastic long-running stories. I mean, these are games that look more like fucking movies than games.
Right. Well, that's Sony. You kind of have to expect that from Sony.
Yeah, 100%. But this is just a little taste of what we'll get into in the future show. Obviously, it probably won't go on for this long, but me and Landon are just kind of shooting the shit. We just
BSing.
This is what we do. When we do the shows, we just talk to each other, whereas these guys are trying to plan segments and plan bits. Anything come out of the world of Elon Musk lately, Landon?
Hold on. Here's John Ray's got a comment. Let me read this out before we move on. Xbox has actually made a lot of purchases for studios who only make single player titles. Is what he says.
Well, I'm glad to hear it, John.
Yeah, so maybe they'll buy up those areas there where they can start fixing that.
I hope.
As far as Elon Musk, let's see. I haven't heard nothing new on the Neuralink, which I don't expect to for a while. But I do know that he's releasing a new battery for his Teslas. I know this was a thing that he was talking about is a potential way that they could really lower their price for their cars is if they start producing their own batteries rather than outsourcing them. So apparently on the 25th of this month, he's going to be releasing his new battery that they came out with. And it's got some ridiculous specs on it. I don't have it right in front of me. So it'll be interesting to see if those are even legit and to see what it does with the price, how it affects the price of these Teslas. You know, I don't know. I'm interested. I want a Cybertruck, man.
Okay, I was just about to ask you. See, we had a discussion on Xbox about you, Landon.
Yeah?
Because these guys are trying to feel you out. They're trying to get to know you, and I'm trying to be the conduit for that. Because we have not, by the way, sat down and all had a discussion yet. That's coming, I would assume, next week, maybe sometime.
Right.
Maybe the week after. I told them that after this week, the door really opens up to the next endeavor.
Right.
But we were talking about, they were asking me, what kind of tech stuff is Landon into? I said, anything Elon Musk. Landon will just jerk right off all over his face. And
That's so
and
not
they said,
true.
they said, well, he can't possibly like the Cybertruck. And I said, you know what, guys? We talked about this on air. I think he wants one.
I
And they're
want
like,
one.
there's no fucking way.
I want that goofy looking truck. I want to drive it down the road, man.
You will agree that the truck looks like a warthog from Halo.
Oh, you dude. Yeah, exactly. It looks like a freaking spaceship. I would totally
Dude,
want it just for that.
Like, seriously though, if you take the doors off of that, you're driving a warthog. It's like Halo. And like, it's hysterical that this is a full circle discussion now because we're going back into the gaming thing. But like, that's so fucking funny that this man made a vehicle that looks like a vehicle from a game. Oh man.
You know, they're in a controversy, which John, let's answer John's question here. He says, I heard that Tesla takes an update to make it faster. Is that true? There are different updates that you can purchase. So like when you go to purchase like like a Tesla Model X or whatever, you can purchase it and add these upgrades. So the very base model won't even have autopilot where it'll kind of drive itself. You have to pay an extra $4,000 or $5,000 just to get that feature. But yeah, all of that is just updates that come from your internet and then download into your car. I'm sure there's like there's like a sport for what you're talking about here to make it faster. There's like a sports mode that you can download that will then increase. It'll change like the computer configurations for the vehicle to make it faster.
I am picturing the most expensive demolition derby of all time. Imagine if everyone gets their big Tesla trucks. I don't know what they're fucking called. It's a Tesla truck to me, everybody. And they just start putting like fucking snow plows on it and they're just driving into each other. Well, that would do two things. Number one, it would cost a lot of money, but number two, it would show us the durability of these fucking vehicles. Because I imagine that this warthog looking vehicle could drive through a fucking war, all right, and come out unscathed.
I know that there's a big controversy, a thing that they're trying to work out over there at Tesla right now. The original Cybertruck that they released, the one where you see him on stage and he throws that big ball bearing at the window and it actually cracks the window, which is quite hilarious. I almost don't know if they did that like on purpose just to draw attention to the truck, which would make sense to me.
I don't think.
Or if that was just a complete accident.
Because Elon Musk is already a bad public speaker. And no offense to Elon Musk, I think he knows. Like, he tries to simplify things, but he's so smart, it just doesn't work for him.
Yeah.
So, like, now he has to explain away why that happened. I think there's no way that was planned.
But do you think they would have got that much attention if it didn't break? Like, think of how many days of attention they got over that stupid window breaking.
But they don't need the attention, though. The attention of the world is already on Tesla.
But he did need the attention because that was when they were trying to sell the pre-orders. And that extra money can go right to building it up.
But there again, though, that's something that makes the vehicle look bad because you're talking about the durability. Then you throw a ball bearing and you break the window. And I believe the quote from Elon Musk was, that wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah, we're still working on that.
We're still working on that.
But one of the big controversies with the original truck, the one you saw on stage, was that truck is actually too big to fit into a normal garage, a normal car garage. And Tesla wants to make it as big as possible. He doesn't really give a shit about fitting it into a normal size garage. So I don't know where they've landed with that. Are they going to roll with it being too big, or are they going to kind of downsize it so it'll actually fit into a garage?
I'm curious if Elon Musk creates the first flying car.
No, he even on the Joe Rogan podcast that he was on, he said it just wouldn't. It's not possible. Well, it's possible, but it wouldn't make sense because of how loud it would be, how much it would cause so much damage around it to be able to lift up. At least with the current understandings of how we can fly.
Aerial travel.
Yeah.
Works,
now if you get oh wow, we're getting spammed here by somebody on Twitch. Now if you, let's say, now if we could figure out, you've heard of Bob Lazar, right?
Unfortunately so.
Okay, so now if Bob Lazar, for example, could figure out more about that element 115 that he claims he found on Area 51, which is what the spaceships that he said that he found fly on. Now, if we could figure out how to use that, which is kind of like an anti-gravity thing that they're doing, then you could have a flying car without causing a bunch of damage.
Just when I think I'm out of that kind of paranormal realm, Landon, you drag me back in. You drag me back.
I'm just trying to throw out the different ideas that you could have.
I bust balls. Yeah, it's definitely interesting that this has been something that's been in discussion. I mean, in the 60s or whatever, they were doing documentaries about how by the year 2000 we will have flying cars everywhere. The whole world will be like the Jetsons, and we will be suspended in space in the atmosphere. That's not. You look at the year 2020 and we're struggling here. So it's definitely one of those interesting things.
We got John here. John says, wait, 115 is a thing that made zombies in Call of Duty. I did not know that made zombies in Call of Duty, but it is a real thing. He actually came out claiming that it was an element before even mainstream science.
Well, here's the thing with the periodic table. The people, and by the way, once again, this goes into me being a stupid person and still knowing more than regular stupid people. The periodic table, the periodic table is set up in such a way you can predict that there are elements missing, and they know on the periodic table where those elements will go. Mm-hmm. Having said that, there is a spot for that particular element.
Right. Yeah, element 115, Bob Lazar actually has a sample of it that he took from when he was in Area 51.
He claims
he has it. I don't know. I don't know if he does. Nobody knows if he does. Nobody knows if it's real. But I mean, it is a real element. It is a real thing, and even the government has announced this real thing.
Yeah, they've announced it's a real thing. For those of you who don't know about the Bob Lazar thing, just the crash course. Bob Lazar was a supposed whistleblower who worked at Area 51. He claims that while he was there, he worked at
S4, which is a offshoot of Area 51, not necessarily.
Because this is where you can fill in the blanks better than me. Basically, they were back engineering a spacecraft, which they claim was found, I think, in the desert. And the propulsions on this, basically, it was a silent spaceship that could take off and just go. It could move around like nothing the United States or any other government has. And that goes into the 2004 video where there was a Navy ship that had caught something on its cameras that they could not track with the military tracking devices. But basically, his claim is that these aliens, which is what his hypothesis, these aliens had a ship here, and this is how the aliens had traveled. They had traveled using this element, and this was the fuel, I guess, for their planes, and it made space travel instantaneous, extremely fast, and silent. Just a little information about Bob Lazar and what we're talking about.
From my understanding about how he believes that element helped propel the spacecraft was that it could essentially reverse the direction of gravity. It could put gravity, rather than it pulling it down, it could turn it and pull it up or pull it sideways, and it was able to turn the way the gravity pulls or something like that.
Yeah, I am no astrophysicist, but luckily for you, we have a famous one in the world named Neil deGrasse Tyson, who not too long ago described what would happen if you drilled a hole through Earth and jumped through, assuming there was nothing in the center of the Earth that could kill you. If you drilled a hole from one side to the other, how it would work. And to me, it sounds like it works the same way that this element does. That he said if you jump through, you would hit the bottom and you would shoot back up. And you would hit the bottom and you would shoot back up. And you would be able to predict when this would happen. And he said it would take like 88 minutes to do the entire loop through the Earth. Mm-hmm. And then he said when you get back, you would have to grab onto something so you don't go back down, or you have to do the whole loop again. But it was really interesting, and that's kind of what I equate this element to be. Once again, this is way fucking above my pay grade.
Yeah. Both parts. I do think it's interesting, though, that the government is starting to release, footage and claim that, there are things we don't know. of
Yeah.
you had the Commander Fravor, who was on Joe Rogan, who's the commander in the Navy, who actually was flying fighter jets chasing one of these things, and it would go from like
Yeah, but that's the clip that
20,000 feet in the air to 2 feet above the sea level, and like
Yeah.
that. So it's really
They-
cool to hear from people like that you would hold in higher regard than some crazy.
That's
stuff.
the video that I had talked about. It was like in 2004 or something like that, where they had caught it on their videoing. He said we could see it with our eyes, but the trackers wouldn't pick it up.
Yeah,
and
it was
moving
blocking the
like
trackers.
nothing we had ever seen. He said we were seeing it move in real time with our eyes, but it wasn't picking up on the trackers. And that he had said this thing would move from 5,000 feet up to being on a straight line in front of us in seconds, and we had no idea what the fuck we were looking at.
Right. I think this is a good thing to point out that over the last couple of days, it may have been this past weekend, that there was a huge sighting of a UFO in New Jersey. Thousands and thousands of people saw this. It then came to fruition that this was simply just a blimp, a Goodyear blimp, and that there's so much crap in the air between the blimp and where these people were seeing it that it just made it blurry to where it looked like it was a saucer when actually you'd get closer, it was just a blimp. So
and that goes back into my classic discussion of, I think you watched the show when these guys asked me why I don't believe in UFOs and all that. And I said, because anything's an unidentified flying object to me. Right. And they said, well, what do you mean? And I took a big hit from my wave, blew a cloud and threw something up in the air behind it. And I said, that's a UFO. You don't know what I just did.
Right. Right. And that's just a common misinterpretation of what you're saying. Which I think is probably 99% of the claims where you see UFOs.
Not everything's Roswell, everybody. Not everything's Roswell.
And I can tell you, there's definitely things in the military that you have no freaking clue exist and that would look like a spaceship to you.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is like, that's why I was always, once again, fucking getting paranormal. God damn it, Landon. But that was always the thing that I would talk about, is like, this is why I'm a skeptic, because even if you showed me an alien craft and a craft that the military has that I'm nowhere near the clearance to be able to see, I couldn't tell you which is which. I have no fucking idea.
Right. This was an interesting thing. When I went to my training for my job in the military, I went to this place called Aberdeen Proving Ground, and it's out there in Baltimore, Maryland. And I was the last class to graduate out of it before it became, it's like a top secret base now that you can't get into. This is where they do all their testing for new stuff. So being literally the last people to leave that base before it became top secret, we got to see a lot of weird stuff coming into the base and in these different like big buildings and things that were kind of very interesting. There were a lot of deformed deer on the base, like maybe they got into something they shouldn't have, and they would be like solid white deer, and then there was like ones with different growths on them all over their bodies.
Great, we're gonna start talking about Mon talk now.
Yeah, so this was just super weird. But even when we were there, I was asking some different questions to people, to some higher ups there, and they were like, all the stuff that we're studying right now or that we're really testing, these were all ideas that were thought up 20 years ago. So what we're doing right now is 20 years old compared to what they're doing now. So that just tells you how far in advance the military is versus what we think we're at.
Yeah. I think that, that adds validity to the Bob Lazar discussion. Yeah. Obviously.
I don't know. I don't know about Bob Lazar, but he does make some good points. There are some things that have come out that have not necessarily proven his story, but add some legitimacy to it. It's one of those things nobody's ever going to know. Nobody's ever gonna know.
And you're 100% right with that. I think to kind of switch gears again,
sure.
We kind of, I've always been the person who talks about sports, particularly the fighting sports, because I don't give a fuck about ball sports. So Roy Jones and Mike Tyson are set to be fighting here in the next couple months. That's going to be on pay-per-view. I think it might be like next month, actually. I don't know exactly how far off we...
I think it's October something, the end of October.
Roy Jones has made a statement on...
It's Thanksgiving. It's somewhere around Thanksgiving, because I remember when he was on Joe Rogan just a couple weeks ago, He was talking about that they were doing it then so that most people would be home and more people could watch it, because a lot of this money is just going to charity. So,
that's the cool thing out of this. But Roy Jones, who was Mike Tyson's opponent for this exhibition match, quote, "I made a mistake going in with him."
Yeah, have you seen his training videos?
Mike Tyson
Holy
is a
smokes.
fucking beast. The guy's running around like someone who's on steroids. Not saying he is, but he's running around like a dude who's way younger than he is. I mean, he's a dude who's in his 50s. I think he's 52. I think Roy Jones is like 56 or something like that.
He's a savage, dude.
These guys are moving around like fucking McGregor, like these guys, which McGregor's a whole other news story. These guys are moving around so quick. And Mike Tyson's been posting these videos, which humble Mike Tyson has come out. Back in the day, Mike Tyson was not humble. He was a bit of an angry fella. He would say some very not nice things. For example, my favorite Mike Tyson quote, we're going to get canceled for this one, Landon.
Here we go.
"I'ma fuck you till you love me, faggot." The greatest Mike Tyson quote of all time. So now we're seeing a humble Mike Tyson. He's coming out. He's saying, listen, I believe that I'm still the best in the world.
Yeah.
Which is great. I brought up Conor McGregor and the controversy surrounding Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor has been arrested.
Again.
He flashed his naughty bits to a married woman who apparently did not want to see his naughty bits. And so he's one of the many who has fallen due to sexual misconduct allegations. We don't, at least I don't know if these allegations are 100% true. I haven't really followed the story other than how most people follow the story. You see the headlines and you're like, well, that's kind of a shame. So a guy who was on the top of the world, how the mighty have fallen. Interesting stuff. I know that, once again, I wish I could talk more about it, but I don't really watch football too much. I know that we had the first week. I know people are really kind of split between disappointment and anger. And I know everybody feels like Tom Brady has made a massive mistake trading to the Buccaneers, and Bill Belichick is laughing it up somewhere.
Yeah, I know nothing about sports, so I didn't even know they started playing, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll last, though. I don't think sports or football or any of that's going to last. They're going to claim some COVID bull crap and be done.
Well, but there again, most of these sports are working within a bubble, and
you see how that's worked out with baseball, right?
It's worked for the most part with basketball. It's kind of worked with baseball, which weren't in a bubble before. They had to change. Originally, they weren't operating in a bubble. See, that's the thing. Originally, baseball wasn't operating in a bubble. Then people started getting it, and they said, we got to move to a bubble. And then, of course, it seems like the NFL has taken probably more precautions than any other sport as far as COVID. Interesting shit, man. Listen, will these sports last? I don't know. It looks as of now like they could. Obviously, the trends with COVID are on the downside slant, so that's great news. Less
because it's going to be over by the election, man.
Oh boy! Oh, now we got to get political. Here we fucking go. You're dragging me back.
Let's see. We got a couple comments. John Ray says Brady made a big mistake. Ray says the fake crowd sounds during the game is so weird. Yeah, that's one of those things I was wondering what they were going to do. Do they have anybody in the crowd now, or are they even like half capacity, quarter capacity, or is it all fake people?
I believe there are people in the crowd. I believe it's less. I think it's like less than half capacity. I think that there are allowed to be people. They're just paying a lot for tickets and they're super spread out. But I do think there are people. Like I said, I'm not a big football guy, but I know how other sports are doing it, and I would assume they're just following suit.
Well, I bring this here. John Ray says the fake sounds suck because the QB can't change plays mid-game. That was one of the things I was interested in, is if there's no crowd, you're going to be able to hear all this crazy stuff that they're saying to each other and whatnot. the QB can't change plays mid-game. They can change plays mid-game, but they're going to have to come up with their own language to do it. You know what I mean? Their own special...
They're going to have to start signing. It's going to be like baseball.
Yeah. He also says there are groups of people spread out around the stadium. So there are people there. Okay. But still, they're pumping in this fake crowd cheers.
A lot of sports have been doing that, I know, and here's a whole other segment getting into the professional wrestling segment. But I know that they've been there's two sides to it. So you have the WWE side, and then you have the AEW side. So the WWE side, they have what's called the Thunderdome, and basically it's just a bunch of screens throughout the arena of people watching at home on like Zoom or I don't know how that shit works. Yeah,
that's
but they
cool.
have screens of like people who are watching it, but they're also dubbing in crowd noise because all of those people are muted, so they're dubbing in sound noise. And then you have AEW, which they have done a lot of different things. So AEW is owned by Tony Khan, who owns one of the football teams. I don't know, one of the Southern football teams. And basically, so that's they're doing the matches like in the same compound. Like the football field is like right next to where they're doing the wrestling at. And what they're doing is originally there wasn't a crowd. The only crowd was people who were wrestlers. They would be watching the matches just so you could have some type of sound.
Right.
Now they are allowing a few people in that are fans to watch. But yeah, it's a very different, it's a whole different atmosphere to be listening to these things without the fans because everything's louder.
Yeah.
And me being more of a UFC guy, like when I was watching some of these fights with no crowds, like it's dead quiet and you can really hear how hard these people are punching each other in the face. But with wrestling, you're not hearing how hard people are punching each other in the face because they aren't.
Right. John Ray says he owns the Jaguars.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that.
We got Jerry jumping in here saying, "What's up, bitches?"
Hi,
the only
Jerry.
biatch in here is you, Jerry. But thanks for watching on YouTube. We might make 12 cents off this for everybody watching on YouTube. Thank you so much. And here's another weird thing, and I don't want to get too far off track here. Actually, let me read this comment first. Ray says the UFC is completely silent, and that's weird too. I kind of like that because I like hearing them getting smacked in the face. But what's weird is when I went to go stream today on YouTube, they put up this warning sign that says they're discontinuing streaming to YouTube unless I create advanced events on YouTube, which I don't think I'm going to do because that's just more work and I don't really want to. So that's going to suck. But anyway, we're coming off YouTube.
I think you can set up an advanced event for like 5 minutes in advance.
Yeah.
Like I really think it's that quick. So really it's not that much work.
Well, I'll have to look into it then.
Yeah.
For sure. But yeah, that's weird. But so anyway, thanks to everybody watching on YouTube rather than Facebook. I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, it's one of those things that with us, especially the kind of rebranding that we're having here in the next couple of weeks, and I know we've talked about this a lot, but like we're kind of moving to different directions. We're gonna try to reach a whole new demographic if we can, so we'd appreciate any shares, and if you think someone might be interested in our geeky conversations. This was me opening the door kind of into what the future shows are going to be, and I have to say, with how decent this has went, I think it could work. Like I thought I was assuming for some of the worst, but I mean we've done a decent job.
Yeah. No, I mean I didn't expect anybody to watch the show, and it seems like every time we come on, there's at least a few people here. So, hopefully though, when we do go to the next show, it's going to be more of a scheduled out thing, so you'll know what days we're going to be on. I'm crossing my fingers still every day. I'm potentially getting a new job here. Hopefully by the end of the week. And
yeah, that's the thing is like the schedule at the end of the day kind of falls on me and Landon to see how everyone else's schedules work. I know that to give everyone an idea, because once again, myself and Landon haven't talked about this, to give everyone an idea, I'm thinking of how I would want to set it up is to have us hop on every other week.
Right.
So I don't want it to be a weekly thing just because people do have lives and we're dealing with more than just myself and Landon. We have other kind of factors, other people who play. And I don't want these people's schedules to feel more crowded than it already is with their lives.
Right. I'd prefer to do every other week and just do a longer show. rather than try to do a
even
shorter
the way
one
that I
every
look
week.
at it is like this: do I expect everyone to be on every week? No, and I've already had this discussion with everyone. John Ray, who's in the chat, thank you once again, John, for clicking on. I know that he's probably not going to do every week, and he shouldn't have to feel like he has to do every week. So it's going to be kind of a revolving round table where some weeks you'll have 6 people, some weeks you may have 2. It's going to be different.
Right.
I can assure you one thing: the staples will always be me and Landon.
Right.
And if Landon doesn't do it, there is no show. So that's kind of how it's going to work. I don't assume that I'll be missing much as things in my past. I never really missed much. And it's going to be a great, fun little thing. We're going to have more voices, more segments, and there's going to be a little bit more planning than we have for this show, but there's going to be planning amongst certain people. So certain people will not be in the know. Certain people will be in the know. And it's going to be really cool how we do this show. I have a whole plan set out because, like I said last week, or not last week, but the last show, I'm kind of doing the PD rule. So I'm planning out all of this different shit. And much like how when Landon would do the Bob Kessler calls, which, by the way, motherfucker, you haven't called in, motherfucker.
He may be dead, dude. I ain't gonna lie.
He did. Landon's
He
like,
started drinking again. He probably
I
did.
haven't checked in 4 months. I don't know. But I don't get to hear these things before we go on air. That's kind of how the show's going to be, where the only people who are really going to know what's happening are the people who send me their bits and me. But even then, if Landon wants to play something, I won't even know about it.
Right.
So that means no one else will know about it. So it is fun. There's still going to be that atmosphere of a free-flowing conversation, and it's still going to be kind of like this where me and Landon just talk to each other. It's just going to be, there will be more defined segments.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be more organized. Obviously, this is just completely off the top of our head, which makes it really good to learn like improv, like stuff that's on the fly.
Yeah,
this show is good for that.
And that's what I told these guys. I said, listen, we're still going to make you guys work for it a little bit. We still have to, I still have to be, me being the educator that I am, we still have to make sure you guys are learning how to do fucking shows. Like, there will be times where it's going to be off the cuff and everyone will get better. And that's the thing. Like, I've been doing improvised programming for 2 years. You've done it for I don't fucking know how long, and I'd like to say we do pretty decent, considering we came into this saying we don't even have fucking topics past Taco Bell. We just bought, I don't know how long we've been on, but we just fucking
hour and 25 minutes.
Yeah, we just barreled through almost 2 hours of time, which is longer than a regular show that I would do, certainly longer than a regular show Landon would do. And we're still, we still got a little bit in us.
Oh,
you know?
Here's the funny thing. I didn't tell you this. Over the course of the past couple weeks doing different interviews for this job, somehow the podcast thing got brought up, and they're like, "Oh, what kind of podcast do you do?" And I was like, "You don't want to know. Just don't look it up. Whatever you do, I don't want to get fired before I get hired."
It would be hysterical if all of these people just go out around a table and start watching, and they fucking love us. They're like, "Hey, we want you guys to come to a podcast for our brand." Like, dude, imagine that. Oh man.
Like, you don't want to know, guys.
Yeah. Landon's like, "Oh yeah, I do podcasts." "Well, what do you do?" Some paranormal stuff, some mystery stuff, some stuff that you don't want to look up. Slums of the earth kind of people watch my shows. They're just like, "Oh, I'm intrigued."
Yeah, so I was like, let's move on.
During the interview, did anyone ask you why there is a gothic-looking Betty Boop behind you? Was that a discussion that was brought up?
Not necessarily. I played it up because, dude, I literally sat here before. I had to do one of the interviews was a video one, and I had to do it right here from this desk. And I almost considered like just moving both of those things to the side and it just being the brick wall. No big deal. Then I don't have to explain anything. But then I was like, I don't want to hide who I am and what I like, what I enjoy as a human being because of some job. If you can't look, you asked me to do a video interview. You asked to come into my life. Well, here you go. And I just told him, I was like, well, I have my daughter here. She's out there taking a nap. So sorry, you're in my dungeon for tonight. And that's why you got all this weird stuff. It actually made for some good conversation. And they seemed to take it really well, actually. They thought it was pretty cool.
I think that, like, you're a personable type of person. It's like, I've recently been told that even without a communications degree, I could probably go and do communications. Like, I mean, I couldn't teach, obviously, but I could probably go and do communications work. It's one of those things that we've both kind of just built up that ability to be able to talk to all groups of people, all walks of life.
Right.
And we know our audience, and we obviously know who we're talking to. When we talk to each other, we talk like we would talk to a friend. And I think that really helps this show, because having said that, everyone who watches this show feels like a friend. Everybody who watches the show feels like they're in on the conversation. And I know that you had brought that up on the last show. You had said, do you think I should move this stuff? And I had said, you know what, I might. And then you said, but I feel like I'm not being true to myself. And I said, you know what, you're right, dude. Keep that shit up. And I'm glad that it all went relatively well. And as far as your daughter being, in the background, we've done shows with your daughter in the background. And those are my favorite segments, when your daughter just starts yelling in the fucking background or comes up and tries to hug you. And, I think it's fun. It shows the audience that we are fucking regular human beings like everybody else. This is not like some type of professional. We're not in studios. We're both in our homes. I have to get the rest of my wall put up at some point, but the spray adhesive is fucking gone. COVID killed that supply. So yeah, there are fun little things that happen on air that we don't prepare for. And obviously we don't prepare for your daughter to come barreling into the show, but when it happens, it's funny. We laugh it off. We've both at one point or another have left our post. You've left more often than I have.
Right.
But last week or not last week, but the last show, I had to step off for a second. You've stepped off in the past, and the show still keeps rolling.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, like you said, we're just normal people. Shit happens. Luckily she didn't come in here while I was doing the interview. She was knocked out the whole time, which was great. But, that was something that could have happened. And that's just kind of the unfortunate events of COVID too. I've seen, I have a LinkedIn page, and I see a bunch of different recruiters on there who have brought up this topic, and this has happened to them while they're interviewing people, video style. And it's just one of those things, like, they have to adapt to it and just kind of accept it, because what are you supposed to do as a parent when your kid's school's closed and you can't take them to school? You know what I mean? What do you do?
And I had this discussion last week at a family function. We were talking about how Zoom works, because none of these folks understood like how all this works, and a lot of them have younger kids and they just wanted to better understand it. So I was explaining it, and they're like, well, but what if this happens? And to give you an idea of what one of the scenarios was, this is how fucked up these types of people are. He goes, what if my daughter's doing Zoom and her brother comes home drunk, and he just starts coming in the house screaming drunk off his ass, and like, he goes, that makes my daughter look like an ass. And I said, yep. He goes, are these schools prepared for that? And I said, nope. They're not prepared for that. And that's like the things that we're seeing. There are funny shit that's coming out of Zoom and these teachers and their students. Cause like, there are students who fuck with their teachers on Zoom. There's teachers who go off on Zoom. It's hysterical. Right. But I don't know if it's that these teachers don't realize that they could easily be recorded on the computer, or if these kids are just assholes. But there's funny shit that's happening every day.
Right. And there's not much you can do about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you're a teacher, don't ever give one of the kids that is on your program the admin privileges. And I know that's the only way for them to show you their screen, but the second you do it, they're going to give you a name on the screen like Glizzy Gobbler, and they're going to kick you out and ban you from the room. Dude, that was the funniest video. There was this teacher, and they've done a lot of shit with this teacher. Like, they fuck with this lady relentlessly. Really nice lady, and he's like, Mrs. whatever your name is, make me an admin so I can show you my paper. She does it because she trusts him.
Oh no.
He renames her the Glizzy Gobbler, and she doesn't know like what that means. For those of you who don't know Glizzy, Glizzy is a gun, a hot dog, and a penis. Those are the things it can mean. So if anyone's talking about a glizzy, it's a hot dog, a gun, or a penis. Don't ask me how all of these things connect with each other. I have no fucking idea. But when she goes, "Oh, my name's Glizzy Gobbler now," the students go, "No, you don't understand. This is a promotion." And this teacher goes, "Hey guys, I got a promotion. I'm the Glizzy Gobbler."
Oh
And it
my
was like
God.
so funny. And then of course he banned her from the room, kicked her out of the room, and all the students are in there laughing. And then they did another one like the next week because this lady is such a nice lady. She just doesn't know better.
Oh my gosh. Let me answer a couple of these chats because I'm getting behind here. John Ray says his schedule's open for every other week. Should be good for him. Ray says that she says, other than the gaming talk, I've enjoyed listening to y'all while I do housework. Great. That's better than elevator music, I guess. Jerry's going on talking about Anheuser-Busch. Jerry, I was not interviewing for them. This is a different company, so sorry for them. They'd probably be more understanding. And then Jerry says, and there are teachers that have reported a kid for having a toy gun, and we're trying to get him suspended because he was at his house and there were guns behind him or whatnot. So I did hear that story.
And that was another issue that we had talked about because he goes, well, what about like if I'm in my house, I have guns up on the wall and whatnot. He's like, if my kids are in that room, do they get suspended from school? And I said, yes, because the rules of school state no weapons, not even if they're fake, none of this, none of that. And you have to, these children are expected to follow the guidelines of what their handbook tells them is allowed and isn't allowed. Right. And if you do something that is considered against the handbook, or if something's on your screen that's considered against the handbook, you can be punished for that. And it's an unfortunate position for these kids to be in. Obviously, there are some teachers that care more than others. I said that most history teachers, like if you're a history teacher with like an office, you have maps in the background, guns, old paintings and shit. Right. But then if you're an English teacher, your background's just books and like, you know, it's different. Everybody's a little different. The other thing that we were talking about is there are some teachers that add more rules. So like, for example, a lot of teachers are saying, and this is particularly me talking from my school and the kids that I've talked to, they have a teacher that listed off a list of rules. Number one, during his class, which is 3 hours long, this is when they were in Zoom. Now they're in person. But when they were on Zoom last year, he said, you can't eat or drink during my class. You can't be in your bedroom, and you have to be fully clothed. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know what? I can understand fully clothed. I don't understand you can't be in your bedroom at all. I understand not being in your bed, but you can't be in your bedroom at all, and you can't eat and drink during his class. I'm in my fucking house.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what Ray says here. How do you suspend a kid when they're at home anyways? Are they just not allowed to join the Zoom anymore? I guess that's how it works. I don't really know. It's kind of stupid, but yeah, I think that if you're going to bring the school home, they have to change those rules a bit, in my opinion, because at least for my situation here, I'm not moving all this crap somewhere else so you don't see the stuff in my background. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. Like, all this stuff's hardwired in. I mean, it's a whole mess to change any of this. I'm not doing it.
You know, and here's the thing, there's a lot of kids that are hunting fans who, you know, their shit's just mounted on the walls. Like, that's against the fucking rules of the handbook. But there again, the handbook it's for school. The handbook isn't normally made for you being at home. So now you have to follow those rules at your own fucking house. Like, I don't know. I feel like there are certain things, like, obviously, if I have a fucking dildo mounted on the mirror behind me, you know, that's completely different than if I have, you know, a knife in a display case or something. Right. But the thing is that there is no discretion happening. These teachers are just saying, well, that's not school appropriate. Yeah. It's like, well, fuck you. You know,
then let me turn my camera off. I'll still do the work. Turn my camera off.
I'll sit here with my camera off. If it's not school. Well, you can't do that. Well, then I'm in my fucking house, you bitch. You know, like, and that's the issue with Zoom, is that there are these high standards we're putting on these students. Like, you know, the standard of you not being in your bedroom to do your show, like I do this show in my bedroom. This is my bedroom. This is the red walls here. It's where I sleep, and do everything else. To me, you can't tell me that I can't be in my room because this is a professional studio setup. What, you want me to move all this down to my fucking kitchen so I'm impeding on other people's shit?
Yeah, not happy.
Because that was another discussion that was brought up. Well, with the whole family at home doing Zoom, what do they want? Mom and dad both at the kitchen table and their kid over here too? And I was like, dude, they're all talking to their people on the office, and there's going to be a lot of, oh no, not you. Oh, that it makes life easier to do it this way. Right. And these schools want you to have to fucking jump through these hoops.
And it goes back to just, if you, I don't know, if you just want them up against the blank, it's like the interview thing I was talking about. So like almost lying to yourself, like this is not who like you're avoiding who you are as a person for somebody else at a school. I just don't get it. I don't understand it.
And that goes into the whole thing of like kids are getting creative with their background, because obviously everyone wants to have a cool background. Landon has a pretty cool background. I obviously don't. But like everybody wants to have a cool kind of background. And so these kids are putting up stuff that represents them behind them. So like they have Trump flags and whatever, and they're getting in trouble for displaying who they are as people. And I think that's fucked up. Obviously, there are certain rules that we should follow. Obviously, I shouldn't be playing with a gun. I shouldn't be cleaning my gun during the Zoom. Right. I shouldn't be flopping around my dildo on the Zoom. But the way that I look at it, if I have a Trump flag in the back or a Biden flag or whatever, if I have a representation of who I am as a person in the background, Landon has what looks like a couple of paranormal type items in the background. These are things that represent us as people. These are things that represent our growth, our hobbies. Right. And you can't say, well, your hobby isn't school appropriate. Like, okay, if I'm someone who does fence sword fighting, and I have my fencing stuff behind me, well, that sword isn't school appropriate. Like,
well, okay, that's why I didn't bring it to school.
Yeah, that's why I didn't bring it to school. That's why I didn't, I don't
you brought
have
school to me, so
hip.
Maybe you need to follow my rules. How about that?
Yeah,
let's change those rules
and that's
around.
The thing is, some of these teachers have made it way difficult, and some of these folks are understanding, and some of them aren't. That's just the trouble with classes in 2020.
And by the way, my background's all a scam. None of it's real, so.
It's way on Zoom right now. We set these backgrounds. Realistically, there's a mansion behind me. You just can't see it.
It's all a scam. It just makes me look cool, but it's not real.
I wanted people to think that I'm
none of this is real.
Yeah, I wanted people to think that I'm a poor, broke, fat man. That's why this is my background.
And none of that is real bricks behind me either. So yeah. That's legit. It's really not. That was just me wanting to make a cool background, and it's all styrofoam. I don't know if you know that, but that's 100% styrofoam right there.
That's why I'm excited to do this Zoom, though, because we can set backgrounds, and I'm waiting for the creative shit I come up with as a background.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I'm interested in how that's going
to because now we have to, we can't do Be Live anymore because we have more people. We have to move over to Zoom, which is new for all of us.
Right.
And I'm going to set a background. I already know what I want, but it's going to be fun to see because everyone else's background is going to be their background, and I'm going to be the asshole with a different background. But I already know what I want. I'm excited.
I'm curious to see how well that works. That green screening that they have. I wonder how well it is.
The only reason that I'm kind of nervous about it is because I have two different colors behind me. Like I have the red and then I have the black. But other than that, I'm not too worried about it. I'm going to have to figure out a way to put shit on this wall just because like the background that I have. No, you know what I think though? I think it'll make it just linear. So this corner won't matter. Right. I think it'll just make it a linear background behind me. So we'll have to see. I might not set a background, obviously, if it doesn't look aesthetically pleasing. But like I definitely at some point, I can't. Here's what happened, Landon. My background's been like this since before COVID.
Yeah.
Because what happened was I bought the foam pads, which I have in a box over there. I had bought spray adhesive to put these things up on the wall. Well, I only bought one can because I was told that was all I would need. Well, I have like 150 over there, and I maybe got 50 up on the wall.
Right.
And that's kind of the issue, is like I ran out of the spray adhesive. So I went to go buy more on Amazon, and it's no longer being sold. So then I went to another company and I was like, okay, as soon as I have the extra money to shovel out, I'm going to get the spray adhesive. Well, then that company's spray adhesive went away. I'm like, what the fuck is everyone using spray adhesive for? What's happening?
Everybody's making their own podcast studio, man.
Everybody's putting guns up on their background. They're using spray adhesive.
Just gluing it up there.
All these kids are putting Trump flags up behind them.
Oh, man, I cannot wait for these debates, dude. September 29th, I think, is the first one.
Oh, God. Did you? Okay, so just because I don't... Are we going to discuss that shit on air?
What? The debates?
Yeah.
Oh, we could totally talk about it after it happens. It's going to be funny. Did you notice, though, that Trump wants to do a debate on Joe Rogan's show?
Rogan. Yeah.
I think that would be great, honestly.
It's not that he wants to do a debate on Joe Rogan. He said it was brought up. Joe Rogan did a show with Tim Kennedy or Tom. I think it's Tim. Tim Kennedy said, don't you think it'd be cool to do a presidential debate with you as a moderator, no audience, just having you there speaking for the people? And he goes, Joe Rogan said, I'd definitely do it. Donald Trump heard that, said, I'd be down. And it looks like that's an obtainable kind of goal that could happen. We could have a sit down between Donald Trump, Joe Biden, and Joe Rogan.
I'd prefer it that way, only because like the way they do it on stage is you don't have enough time to get your full thought out. You don't have enough time to explain it. So you're still left with so many questions.
And that's the thing, is because they're running on time crunches. With Joe Rogan, he's saying, listen, we'll do a couple hours. I think he said he wants it to be long form.
4 hours.
He said if he does it, he wants it to be long form, 3-4 hours. Right. And he agreed. Trump said he would do it, and Joe Biden's kind of that person who,
Joe Biden's not going to get on the stage at all as much as he can with Trump. He's going to avoid it as much as possible. So.
And I think it'd definitely be cool. I'll say this: we've tried to stay away from political stuff. I'd like to try to stay away from political stuff in the future, but I know that there's sometimes you can't avoid it. The reason that I'd like to just avoid this shit at all costs is because I've done my time doing that kind of show. Right. It never works for anybody. It doesn't matter if you have a plan of how you want it to do. People get upset. And my goal isn't to upset anybody or piss anybody off. And while maybe this show, the way we do it, pisses people off and it's offensive, and listen, that's true. We are offensive people, and I understand that. We do this show to a certain demographic, and that's why we kind of stay clear of the political shit. We're not trying to piss anybody off, or,
But that is my favorite time of election season, is the debates. I love the debates. That's my favorite part. Is just watching these people go at each other.
I mean, listen, I obviously I'm all into politics. I love politics. I follow it closely, but like, we saw how the success of my last political endeavor went, and it's a scary world.
It went downhill quickly.
Real quick. So we'll probably steer clear of most. We'll steer clear. We'll talk about it in a very broad type of sense if it's ever brought up. For those of you who aren't a fan of the political talks, just to give you an idea of what kind of the plan is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know for me, I'm not on any party. I'm pretty much straight down the center of. I like different things from every side. So, and
I think that's how most people are. I think that's how most people are, is that they're in the middle. But all it takes is someone to say one small thing, maybe in jest, or maybe just something that someone doesn't agree with, and you have fucking turmoil on your hands. Well, the audience is pissed. The people on the show are pissed. It just creates, and I, once again, knowing this from experience, it creates a hostile environment.
Right. And one of the big things about talking about political stuff is you don't know what's true. All you know is what people say on the news. You don't know what reality is in what's actually going on. I mean, you can be told all sorts of different things. So and that's why I stay away from it in general until election season. Is just because You never
And I
know
think I did
what's
my
real.
due diligence on the old show because I was the only person who would go through and read all sides, and I would go into local papers and read what the local affiliates were saying. I was the person who was really coming at these issues at all cylinders, whereas everybody else it was one side. And if you're anywhere against me, or if you have a theory that opposes me, you're wrong. That's how those guys are compared to how I was. And that's why these things don't work, because you can't sit down and have these types of discussions because someone's going to get pissy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it creates a hostile environment for the next several shows, or you piss somebody off so bad that they just never want to talk to you again.
Well,
And
I thought the religion side was going to go that way too, but actually it went the complete opposite way, really, for us. So.
Yeah, but that's also our demographic, though. Those are the people that, those are the people who watch us. So while there were complaints of the religious people saying, "Well, you never let someone from this side talk," we've tried. Yep. We've tried.
Call in. The number is on the screen. It's always there. The phone has been open all day, and nobody has called in and said anything.
And the phone is also going to be here for the next shows, I assume.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's not going to change.
We still have to figure out. So we still have to figure out those kinks with how Zoom's going to work as opposed to what we have now. I think it should all run the same.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to change at all.
But we still have to do the testing because right. How long it took us the last time just to figure that out.
I would like to buy that new mixer that integrates it better, because when you do call in, there is a bit of an echo on your side. What you hear, we don't hear it, but you do. So I do want to splurge and get that new mixer that eliminates all that, and it just makes it so much easier, streamlines things. But it is like $600. So until we get some people who want to donate to the show, it's going to have to wait.
Yeah, we're all crossing our fingers for Landon to get this new job.
Yeah, I get this new job, I'll make literally 45% more money than what I do now. So.
Yeah, we're all rooting for you. We're excited. I'm thinking about getting a new microphone.
I'm going to get the Shure SM7B.
Because here's the thing. I like my microphone. I like the way my microphone sounds.
Yeah.
Having said that, though, I would like to get a new microphone. I think that I maybe could get a microphone that makes me sound even a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I think that I sound pretty good. I think as far as audio goes, myself and Landon are both really clear, but the audio is different because we have different microphones.
Yeah.
So when you hear me talk, it's different than how you would hear him talk. And unless we get the same microphone, it's not going to be like that.
Right.
And of course, we're adding different people onto the show with all sorts of different capabilities as far as audio goes. There are some people with professional setups. There are some people that are going to be using like fucking Xbox headsets. It's going to be a whole new fucking world.
Yeah.
It's going to be really different, but listen, no matter what, the content of the show is the same, and I think that's what's really important.
Right. I'm excited to see where it goes, man.
Yeah,
that's all I got, dude.
Yeah,
I didn't bring anything to the table. I'm pissed off about Taco Bell still, but hey.
do we have a sponsor to read, or?
No, if people need to realize, or if you look up in the description there, you'll see that I've taken down the Weeble extension, so we are no longer working with Weeble there. We only had a couple people sign up, and they were outside of the show anyway, but Weeble's it's changed their affiliate program to where you can bring people on and get stuff out of it so many times like that. It's just hard for me to try to keep up with what the hell they're doing this week. Like, they've switched it 3 times since we had our last show.
Yeah.
Of what they're doing. And I don't want to tell people that it's one thing and then they try to sign up and it's something different. So we're just going to scratch that. Honestly, we'll scratch everything, honestly, at some point. I've thought about, of a few different things that we can do with the new show. We could get some on-screen sponsors where we could put like their logo and stuff. For every show, maybe through a Patreon tier or something like that. I don't know. It would be cool if we could get people, at least enough people to help fund it where it doesn't cost me money to run the show.
Yeah.
As of right now, we're probably spending like $100 a month just to do these shows, and we get nothing out of it. Literally, I've got 12 cents from YouTube. Thank you to those guys watching it on YouTube, and that's about it. You don't get anything out of this, so this is just for fun. But I would
Yeah,
love for it to pay for itself. So
yeah, and that's the thing, is that we do this for entertainment, but obviously there's costs that come along with it. I mean, listen, my setup is way less expensive than Landon's, and Landon also takes, the fall on the different things that cost that we have to use for this show. But like, these setups aren't fucking free. The microphone isn't free. The mixer isn't free. Like
the stupid web programs are what the monthly fee is. You got $60 just to get this show to all the different Facebook pages, all the YouTube streams, all the Twitches and Twitters and blah blah blah. Yeah. That's $60 a month just to do that. Then we have this other program that holds the camera, so we can do these little stupid switcheroo things like this, blah blah blah.
Yay! And then
that's another $40 a month.
Hopefully that changes when we go to Zoom. Hopefully hopefully it'll be at least a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, I think it's going to cut that price in half. So Ray says do a Patreon. Who knows? Maybe we will do a Patreon, because I know there are people. I do it. I support so many different people's Patreons just because I enjoy listening to their content.
Yeah,
what's $5 a month to me? To support that. I want to hear them continue. So if it gets them in a situation where their Patreon's paying for their stuff, that's great. That's great. I would love it. I'm curious as to what you guys would want as far as a tier to make it worth it for you to do, to make a Patreon.
Yeah, we asked last show, and I'd like to say again, if you guys have any suggestions of something that we can offer you for Patreon, let us know. Yeah. I mean, listen, I would not be against, and this is a bold thing, I wouldn't be against a tier being, because it's a round table format and it'll never be the same twice. If you want to pay to be on the show, I wouldn't be against it. I don't care. But there again, you can also just call in. Like, that's the reason that's stupid, because you can just call in
anytime. Yeah, maybe there's a tier where you pick the topic that we talk about for the show or something like that. I mean, maybe that's a route. But like I said, you just call in. So this is not necessarily about getting you stuff out of it. It's more about, hey, you like what we do, you want to support us, whatever.
Because that's the whole thing, is like, we're not asking for money or anything. We're just, we're hoping that Landon can break even. That's really the goal.
It would be great.
Once that kind of goal's fulfilled, we don't care. We do this for fun. We don't do this for money.
I don't want to make money. If we get money above what it costs to make this,
it goes back into the show anyway.
It's probably going to end up going into a pot where we can all meet up and do a live show somewhere or something. And, if you're in the area, you can come watch it live or what. I don't know. But it's all going to go back into the show somewhere.
It could help fund getting people equipment. Like, It would get you a new mixer. It could get some of these guys that don't have the professional mics. We could get mics sent out. It would be something that would be helpful.
Right.
Having said that, I think we're coming to the end of our show. As always, we'd like to thank everybody for watching. We'd like to say thank you once again for your appreciation. Everyone watching on YouTube and granting Landon 12 cents.
Yes,
we appreciate you. To my friend John, who you guys will see and get to know better in the future, thank you for tuning in, buddy. To Ray,
she says we need to do an OnlyFans, so who knows? Maybe that's
we came up with OnlyMans last week. We're fuck OnlyFans. Bella Thorne fucked it. We're gonna launch OnlyMans. You're gonna be able to see my small penis. That's what's I'm embarrassed and ashamed. The caption for every picture that I post is going to be "Embarrassed and Ashamed, Part 1."
Oh my gosh! Yeah, thanks to everybody for listening, joining in. I really appreciate it. I know Dillan does. We're gonna have fun with it. We're gonna keep going. Anything else, Dillan?
Oh, I know that everyone's probably really heartbroken. I don't do as many impressions anymore, but those will make a comeback in the next show. I'll bust out the Alex Jones and the Macho Man Randy Savage. It'll be great. Thank you guys for the support of myself and Landon. We hope that the support continues to the next show, which, Landon, do you want me to say what the title of the next show is?
Oh, you can. It's fine with me.
So everybody, the future show that we'll launch is called This Podcast Has Hacks. We're hoping... What'd you say, Landon?
Hack jobs.
Yeah. We're going to be giving hack jobs. So we hope that you guys can appreciate that show as much as you appreciate this one. Right. Thank you so much and take care.
We'll catch you next time, guys.
The Landon and Dillan Show, rated 1 star on all podcast platforms.